channels. Okay, let's talk about some neo-Freudians or new Freudians and their perspectives and their theories of personality. So we're going to talk about Erikson, Carl Jung, and a couple others potentially if we've got time. Now, we've got with Carl Jung. You can thank Carl Jung for adopting or introducing to us introversion versus extroversion. A lot of us have already heard about introverts versus extroverts before. And if you've taken things like the Myers-Briggs personality test, which I recommend you doing, you will kind of find out your spectrum of if you're an introvert versus an extrovert. Now, introverts, they are very much energized by being alone. They tend to avoid attention. They speak slowly and softly. They think before they speak. They tend to stay on one topic and prefer written communication. On top of this, they also pay attention easily and are very much cautious. So your extroverts, alternatively, they are energized by being with others. They love to be in a group and seek out jobs that are more so social. They tend to seek out attention, speak quickly and loudly. They will think out loud, so they don't necessarily think as much before speaking comparatively to introverts. They jump from topic to topic, prefer verbal communication, so actually being face-to-face or just hearing the voice of another person on the phone. They're distractible, and then they act first, think later. So that's one of the main differences between introverts versus an extrovert. So what are you? Let me know in the comments. Okay, learning approaches. Let's talk about Julian Rotter and locus of control. I think more so what we're going to do is get and talk a little bit more about Erikson and the other theorists as noted in the previous slide and other chapters. So we'll get to that at different parts. But let's talk about Julian Rotter and locus of control. So your locus of control is your belief about how much power you have over your life. Now, this can be broken down into two different locuses of control, internal versus external. So if you have an internal locus of control, you do believe that you have free will, that you can make the most of your outcomes as the direct result of your own efforts. Okay, these people tend to perform better academically, achieve more in careers, are more independent, healthier, and less depressed. Because if you believe that you can dictate the outcomes in your life, that tends to be more productive of a thought process. Now, if you have an external locus of control, you tend to think that beliefs are a result of things outside of your control. Well, if my behavior is a result of either my genetics, which I didn't choose, my environment, which I didn't choose, or randomness, then how much control do I really have in my life? It doesn't seem like this world is set up for free will. So these people think that things are outside of their control, so things are going to happen the way they're supposed to happen. It's not really due to my own choice. So they, again, believe that their lives are controlled by other people, luck, or chance. Let's look at some humanistic approaches with Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers. So when it comes to the humanistic approaches of Maslow and Rogers, so Maslow studied people he considered healthy, creative, and productive. And he found that they shared similar characteristics, that these people who are considered healthy, creative, and productive are more open, creative, loving, spontaneous, compassionate, are concerned for others, and are accepting of themselves. So again, the humanistic approach, they believe in the potential for good that is innate to all of us. So they think that it's in us, it just needs to be facilitated out of us. So Rogers identified that there are two senses of self, the ideal self versus the real self. And if you're a part of my class, this is something that may potentially be on your test. So your ideal self is the person you would like to be. That's why you're in college taking the classes that you are, or you are stumbling upon this for personal reasons and you want to learn more about personality in general. So you're trying to take some pieces and turn it into the person that you would like to be. For a lot of people, it's to get this credit so they can apply it to their degree and become a nurse, a doctor, lawyer, teacher, whatever the case may be. Whereas your real self is the person you actually are today. Who are you today? That's your real self. So whenever there's a high congruence between your real self and your ideal self, there's a greater sense of self-worth and a healthy, productive life. Whenever there's a significant incongruence, there's a maladjustment. I know a ton of people who constantly throughout their life, there's an incongruence between who they actually are and their ideal self. Whenever somebody, let's say that they're a teacher, which is still an admirable career. I'm a teacher. I love it. It's very fulfilling. The pay may not be as great as other professions, but if I constantly go to work every day and just wish that I was a doctor or a lawyer, and there's that big incongruence between the two, that can lead to negative outlooks and, for obvious reasons, and maladjustment. Okay? Let's talk about the 5-factor model. So we're going to talk about some personality assessments. This is considered by personality psychologists as the gold standard of personality assessments. There are others that I find pretty adequate, such as already mentioned the Myers-Briggs, as well as the Enneagram. I encourage you to take those. They're free online. You just search them up on Google, and they should pop up pretty automatically. Now, when it comes to the 5-factor model, this particular model tests you on 5 distinct traits: openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. And you score either high or low in these different traits. Now, if you score low in openness, you're more so practical, conventional, and you prefer routine. If you score high in openness, you're more curious, have a wide range of interests, and are more independent. Now, if you score low in conscientiousness, this means that you are impulsive, careless, and disorganized more so, comparatively to scoring high, which will include people who are hardworking, dependable, and organized. When it comes to extroversion, these people, as we've already talked about, are outgoing, they seek attention, they seek adventure, they're pretty warm. Now, for those who score low in extroversion, they're more so quiet, reserved, withdrawn, and prefer to work by themselves. For those who score high in agreeableness, these people are more helpful, trusting, empathetic, go along with social harmony. And those who score low in it are more critical, uncooperative, suspicious. They like to debate, to disagree, and things like that. They like to question a lot. Okay? Neuroticism. Whenever I say neuroticism, this doesn't mean that you inherently have mental difficulties. It just means that if you score low in it, you're more calm, even-tempered, and secure. But if you score high in it, you have the propensity for experiencing anxiety, being prone to negative emotions, as well as unhappy. It doesn't mean that you're crazy. People misuse the word neurotic pretty frequently and think that it just means that you're crazy, but that's not the case. Just more so prone to negative emotions.